Senator Mogeni, would you...
I withdraw the word misleading, cheating, and put misleading. Are you comfortable with that? Yes. And
proceed,
Mr.
Senator
Speaker,
Mogeni.
even the teachers of Kericho. I was in Kericho this week and I had tea in Kericho, Mr. Speaker. And they told me the teachers of Kericho don't want this thing called affordable housing. The teachers in Nyamira told me they don't want this thing called affordable housing, Mr. Speaker. My farmers in Nyamira don't want this thing called affordable housing. On Sunday, Mr. Speaker, I had dinner with the 2 Catholic priests. They told me the President William Ruto they are seeing is not the William Ruto they saw then, Mr. Speaker. The expectation of the poor Kenyans were that the houses will be built, Mr. Speaker, for the less fortunate in society, Mr. Speaker. Now you have come up with something that you are telling us Kenyans are going to buy. Which Kenyans? And the middle class in this country is earning 46,000 shillings. Already, Mr. Speaker, if you got, I've been sent a payslip as I was seated here by a teacher, earning 49, tax has taken everything, Mr. Speaker. For whom are you constructing these houses, Mr. Speaker? For whom? Section 2A was rushed on an afternoon on the floor of this parliament, Mr. Speaker. We had to revisit it. The country went through a lot of turmoil before it was deleted, Mr. Speaker. I was in Libya in 2009. Nobody could dare.
Senator Nderitu John Kinyua.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii. Bwana Spika, nataka kuunga mkono mswada huu wa bei nafuu. Bwana Spika, nilipokuja katika seneti hii, nilisimama pale Bwana Spika, nikasema ya kwamba nitailinda, nitaitetea na nataka kuongeza nitaitekeleza katiba. Bwana Spika, ukisoma katika kipengee 43 cha katiba kinasema ya kwamba wananchi wa Kenya wanapaswa kupewa nyumba ambazo ni zinawafaa. Bwana Spika, Bwana Spika, ni vizuri ijulikane.
What's your point of order, Senator Sifuna? Resume your seat, Senator Kinyua.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the Senator for Laikipia to mislead this House as to the contents of Article 43 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker? Because I have a copy of the Constitution that I swore to defend here, Mr. Speaker. It starts by isolating the key rights of the people, highest sustainable standard of health, freedom from hunger. Have you finished freedom from hunger before you tell us about housing? Mr. Speaker, clean, safe and water in adequate quantities. So, Mr. Speaker, for you to elevate housing over the food for the people of this country, safe housing, health, safe hospitals, then you are just lying to us, Mr. Speaker. He's misleading us. He's misleading the House as to the contents of the Constitution.
I believe, Senator Sifuna, you must have been listening. He was debating in Swahili, so maybe the language could have... No, resume your seat, Senator Sifuna.
Bwana Speaker, mswada ulio mbele yangu, Bwana Spika, mswada ulio mbele yangu ni mambo kuhusu nyumba. Mambo ya njaa, Bwana Spika, tumeyashughulikia vilivyo, tumewapatia pembejeo, Bwana Spika, na yeye mwenyewe alipokuwa akizunguka na sufuria kichwani, sisi tushughulikia mambo ya wananchi wa Kenya, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, wacha nisije nikachanganywa na Bwana Spika, ni kazi ya serikali, Bwana Spika, kufanya kwamba kushughulikia wananchi wake, kuwapatia makazi, Bwana Spika. Na hivi sasa, Bwana Spika, vile ambavyo mswada huu tunapitisha, ndiposa Wakenya wengi, Bwana Spika, wanaoishi katika hali ya uchochole, Bwana Spika, waweze kupata angalau makao. Na sasa, Bwana Spika, mswada huu utashughulikia haya mambo kwa sababu, Bwana Spika, tulipokuwa tukitembea katika Jamhuri ya Kenya, tukifanya kampeni, tuliwaahidi wa Kenya mambo ya manyumba, Bwana Spika, na ya bei nafuu. Bwana Spika, siku ya leo haya ndio mambo tunayaangazia na tunapaswa kuyafanya. Jambo lingine, Bwana Spika, sio tu haya manyumba, Bwana Spika, yatakuwa yakiwa wanufaisha Wakenya wetu. Bwana Spika, mimi niko katika hii kamati ya barabara na mambo ya manyumba. Hii kamati, watu wa jua kali, watu wa matatu walikuja na wakaleta mapendekezo yao, wakasema ya kwamba itawasaidia zaidi, Bwana Spika, kwa mambo ya kazi. Hawa ndugu zetu ambao ni wahandisi, maseremara na waashi wataweza kupata kazi, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo, Bwana Spika, mswada huu utakuwa ukiangazia kuwasaidia Wakenya, Bwana Spika, na mambo ya kazi, mambo ya manyumba, Bwana Spika, ili hali ndio watu wetu waache kukaa hali duni, Bwana Spika. Lakini naposikiza ndugu zangu wanasheria hawa wawili, Bwana Spika, wakiongea, mimi napigwa na butwaa, kwa sababu, Bwana Spika, tunaongea kuhusu shida za manyumba, lakini kwa wao nyumba sio shida. Wao shida zao ni vile ambavyo hizi nyumba zinaweza, tuongei kuhusu zile nyumba ziko sehemu. Bwana Spika, maneno yananisumbua kwa sababu nyumba ambazo tunasema sisi, pengine hawa ndugu zangu hawajatembea mashinani waone shida wananchi walizonazo. Nimesikia wakisema ya kwamba nyumba hazijaanza kutengenezwa. Bwana Spika, juzi tulikuwa mji wa Nanyuki tunatengeneza hizi nyumba na tayari tumeanza kutengeneza na vijana wanashukuru na wanasema asanti.
Your time is up, Senator Kinyua. Senator Osotsi Godfrey Atieno.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. From the onset, I want to declare that, Mr. Speaker, I'm opposed to this bill because this bill, as Senator Mtata has said, it has not healed or cured the issues that were raised in court. Under Article 10, Article 201, Article 206, and 210. It still has loopholes which makes it unconstitutional. Mr. Speaker, you know that the court issued an injunction on the 19th of December 20 on the issue of public participation. This bill, or this process that culminated into this debate today, has not cured the problem of inadequate public participation. Mr. Speaker, if I read through the report in this bill, the committee simply invited the public to present memorandums, and they only had one day where they received oral submission. Mr. Speaker, because this bill affects counties, it was only reasonable that all the 47 counties be involved in public participation. That never happened. Mr. Speaker, when you look at this report, this House has a standard that all reports that come to this House must have an adoption list to it. This report, I have gone through it, Mr. Speaker, and I'm having a copy here. There is no adoption list. So who adopted this report? And I want to ask the clerks who work in committees and our secretariat, you are here to be professional. Give this House or members professional input. But if you allow such omissions to happen on a very important report, you are only giving ammunition to those people who are going to court to reject this bill if it is passed into law. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the bill, allocation of funds from the Affordable Housing Fund, they say the funds will be distributed to National Housing Corporation, Kenya Slum Upgrading, Low-Cost Housing and Infrastructure Fund, and the State Department of Housing and Urban Development. Mr. Speaker, for heaven's sake, why would a ministry be involved in affordable housing, construction, and doing all that, when we have an institution called the National Housing Corporation, which is supposed to do that on behalf of the government of Kenya? Mr. Speaker, this bill does not define what gross salary is, what gross income is. It is ambiguous. And I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker, that the space for public participation is not in this bill. Why would we even go to public participation when we know we are not going to listen or incorporate the views of the people who appear? I have gone through the report. The views submitted by the members of public and even government institutions were ignored by the committee. Most importantly, the view by the Kenya Bankers Association, we said that persons who already have their own houses be exempted from this. Why are you forcing people who have houses to be levied this money? And in any case, you have to apply before you get this house. Mr. Speaker, there is also punitive aspects in this bill. The 3% penalty per month is so huge. If you calculate it per annum, it comes to 36%, which is even way beyond the pre.
Senator Osotsi, your time is up. Senator Abbas Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think, if we keep on bossing and not reading the report, the bill, the report, there's a lot of changes that has taken place, actually. Because initially, I was one of the opposers, to be honest with you. But having read the report, I want to commend the committee. They have done a commendable job to include various issues. Honorable Speaker, according to the Bill of Rights, the economic and social rights, it's actually Article 43. It is every person has the right to access an adequate housing, accessible and adequate housing. So, as I talk to you today, Wajir, there is a constitution that is going on. Wajir people have accepted, and there are 200 units already that have started. That means it's affordable and accessible, because that's going 1,000 kilometers. Therefore, let's not oppose these things for the sake of opposing. Two, the county now is included in this bill. Yes. That the committee has included. The county is going to have 5 members as a committee, yes, of which they will receive 0.5% of the levy for their operations, which was not there before. 2, they have reduced the KRA amount. Initially it was 2%, now it is 0.5%. 3, there will be a national board that will be receiving 2%. That means this board now will take care of the interest of all people. 4, there is what we call the rural housing. If you have a land in Wajir and you want to construct it, then you're allowed to take your title deed to the board, and so that you can be given, that you can be constructed a house where you will be paying 3%. Affordable house. In every country in this world, especially the developed countries, affordable houses are there. The tenants are buying these houses as they stay in that house and they pay rents. I don't see there's something unusual here. There's nothing unusual really. Maybe we'll need to have, I'll tell my colleagues in the other side, let's accept the bill and then bring some regulations that we can, something like, the amendments and regulations. Probably if somebody has a house and he doesn't want to contribute, then we can change it. Maybe we must also, I know this thing is not favoring the Muslims, but we change it. We can now bring a regulation to say, instead of saying a loan or interest, then we say we pay service charge. So this thing is not closed. So with those few remarks, I want to support the bill.
Thank you, Senator Abbas. Senator Siengo Kalunda Beth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, I stand to oppose this bill for the very simple reason that it is not friendly to the Kenyans. It is not good for the welfare of Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, when we talk of affordable housing, the houses are for who? Considering a county where I come from, Kitui County, we come from our own houses. We live in the villages. We have our own houses. People have taken loans to construct or to build their own homes. When we talk of houses, who are they for? Taking different professionals. For example, from the teaching profession. Teachers, their first project when they get employed is to build their own houses at home. They took loans. Now here, they are going to be penalized if they now default in these houses. How is it going to benefit the teachers, these houses? Mr. Speaker, I say a big no to this bill, and I urge my friends from the other side, please don't pin down Kenyans. Let us all say no to this bill, and then we come up with good mechanism of how to support Kenyans, because the economy is already bad. And now when we are being charged for the housing, our payslips are already bleeding. We are really pained by what we are going through because of this bad economy. Mr. Speaker, this housing bill is a big no for me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tobiko Paris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am shocked. I am shocked, Mr. Speaker, because of the members from the minority side who are opposing this bill. Mr. Speaker, it is on record that both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, when we were all campaigning, each side had the housing program as part of their agenda should they take government. Mr. Speaker, is it becoming a problem today because it is their competitors who got to get into government and have gotten the first chance to implement the housing program for Kenyans? Mr. Speaker, I'm also shocked because, Mr. Speaker, a number of people I have heard from the minority side who are against this bill have been with us in the committee, Mr. Speaker, because I want to go on record that I'm the vice chairperson of the Committee on Housing, Roads and Transport, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we went through memorandums by the public, by many groups, including the Bankers Association, including the Juakali people, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, including the Matatu people, Mr. Speaker. We have listened to them, those who have appeared before the committee and those who have sent memorandums, Mr. Speaker. And so for any person who would want to say that there was no public participation, I would welcome them.
Senator Sifuna, what's your point of intervention? Give him the mic, Mr. Clark. Proceed, Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, I'm rising pursuant to Standing Order 105 on responsibility for statements of fact. There is a lie that has been repeated on this floor repeatedly that, in fact, the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto and the Azimio Manifesto had the very same proposals on housing. Mr. Speaker, we want to put an end to this lie by asking the Honorable Senator Tobiko to substantiate, because I, as a member of the Azimio coalition, do not recall us proposing to tax Kenyans to the bone to build houses that they do not need. So I would want her to table those two manifestos, point out to this house where it says we are going to tax Kenyans in order for them to have these affordable houses. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed, Senator Tobiko, and where appropriate, respond to the point of order in terms of
Mr. Speaker, I was very clear. I said we all had in our manifestos issues to do with housing programs. I have not talked about taxing Kenyans, but we all had plans to improve the living standards of Kenyans, which include the housing, improving their living standards, Mr. Speaker, by giving them, livable environments, Mr. Speaker, housing being part of that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Article 43, 1 of the Constitution talks about the highest standards of health for Kenyans, accessible and adequate housing, Mr. Speaker. And so we are not going out of the Constitution by passing this law so that we have Kenyans getting adequate and affordable housing, Mr. Speaker, which we should also have reasonable standards of sanitation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when we were going through this, in fact, a number of the groups that appeared before the committee are Nairobians, and I'm shocked because Senator Sifuna is a member of that committee. And he was there when some of these groups appeared, Mr. Speaker. And if there are people who need housing, Mr. Speaker, it is people in the slums. In Nairobi, as it is in Kajiado today, Geshagi and Majengo and other areas of our towns, Mr. Speaker, I thought this is something we all aspired to do for Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, what is paining majority of the people here is that it is those of us who have salaries, it is those of us with pay slips who are going to bear the burden for the sake of the majority of Kenyans who do not have. Mr. Speaker, I have agreed to be taxed. I have agreed to contribute in order for my...
Senator Tobiko, your time is up. Senator Keroche Tabitha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to support this bill. I know this bill has been politicized for so many days and months, but I only remember the time we came in power and were taken through induction, and I remember being given how this housing, affordable housing, will go through. I mean, the process, its process. And I remember it's a very good thing because it will ensure everybody has a decent home. I remember the money that those people are paying the rent as today is the same money they used to pay and then own that house. It is the same money that they will pay, and I hope Sifuna is listening to me, Senator Sifuna. It's the same money they will pay. If somebody was paying 2,000 shillings, if somebody was paying 2,000 shillings, he'll use the same 2,000 shillings to pay the same rent he was paying and finally own this home. The money that will be deducted will be refunded at a certain period. When you go to Europe, we all fly to Europe. We come back to say how people are living well, how everybody is living in a decent life. That's how it was done. That's how it was done. And I think we'll be the first in Africa to ensure that our lives now, or how we live, our people are living decent lives like the way we compare ourselves other countries like the Europe. So let's not politicize this when we know.
Senator Tabitha, resume your seat. There is a point of order from Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Allow me to inform the Senator for Great County of Nakuru that you cannot compare Kenya with Europe.
Senator
Mr.
Beth.
Speaker.
Senator Beth. Senator Beth.
You
Resume
cannot
your seat.
compare Kenya with
Senator
Europe.
Siango.
When we are talking of
Senator
Kenya
Beth
and...
Shengo, resume your seat, please. Resume your seat. Your intervention is on a point of information, but I didn't hear her accepting that information unless she desires to be informed. Senator Tabitha, do you desire to be informed by Senator Beth?
Since now I've had the information she wanted to give me, I don't need to be informed.
Proceed.
And I would really want to ensure that the senator understands what I said. We all fly to Europe and we come back here in Kenya and start talking of the Europe, how people are living decently. That's how they started 100 years ago, others 300 years ago, and that is now we, the Kenya Kwanza government. We are the ones to start.
Resume your seat. What's your point of order, Senator Okoiti?
I'm one fellow who doesn't like standing on points of order, but I'm compelled to do so. Pursuant to order number 105. Can the Honorable Senator substantiate her claim that Europe, the housing system in Europe, is anchored on similar parameters that are in this bill, especially the taxation of salaried employees to provide housing for the rest? I think I would love to see that substantiation from the Honorable Senator for Nakuru.
Proceed, Senator Tabitha.
What I think I need to tell my senator from Busia is that Europe is where it is because of some people took some effort and made it be where it is. We are the people now to ensure Kenya gets to the next level. We have no alternative. It's only that you regret maybe having been the senator at this time, but you have no alternative now but to take. Okay, for me, I think for me.
Proceed to conclude.
Can I conclude, because I think I have only maybe a minute now. A minute now. Let me conclude.
Order members, allow Senator Kerocho to be heard in silence. Conclude your comments. Proceed, Senator Tabitha.
I think everybody. We keep on saying, how's it? Yes, I think we have one saying that is across the board. Ati we don't, nyumba haijengwi the same, as equals the same, all of them. So how Europe did theirs, they did theirs. We have a formula now on how to do ours, and ours is to ensure people can pay this, and they use the same money. They use the same money that they were paying rent. Let's not confuse Kenyans. The same money they were using, they are paying rent is the.
Your time is up, Senator Tabitha. Senator Tabitha, your time is up. Please, and listen to the chair. Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, you know we want to have an orderly session and we have no intention of disrupting debate. But pursuant to Standing Order 98.3, the Speaker is required to make a decision on each point of order. Now, Senator Omtata has raised a point of order on a point that was brought to the floor by the Senator for Nakuru, a claim that she has made. I have not heard the chair rule on the point of order by Senator Omtata. And if we are going to have orderly debate, Honorable Chair, I beseech you, let me finish.
The chair is responding to
let me
your
finish.
order.
How do you respond to something I've not finished? How do you respond? I've not finished.
Resume your seat, please.
Let me finish.
Resume your seat.
Allow me to finish.
I'll call you out of order.
Allow me to finish, Speaker.
I will call
Allow
you
me
out
to
of order.
finish. Allow me to finish.
I will call you out of order.
Allow
Senator
me to
Sifuna.
finish.
Resume your seat.
Before you respond, allow me to finish.
Resume your seat, Senator Sifuna. Now, listen, Senator Sifuna. Senator Omtata raised a point of order to be substantiated. Senator Keroche indeed attempted to substantiate upon the chair asking her to proceed. and she did that subject to the time limit that her time went out. And therefore, that was sufficient since the chair had directed that she proceeds. Senator Cherargei, proceed. Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise by supporting this God-sent bill before the House, Mr. Speaker. I think this is long overdue. We should not waste a lot of time because Kenyans and young people, including Nandi, and I've just interacted with Nairobians a few minutes ago, and they are yearning for this, Mr. Speaker. It is sad that the people who are crying the loudest are the ones who need these houses, Mr. Speaker. Because most houses in slums, we need to give dignity to Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. And when the courts ruled that we must have a legislation, it was important, Mr. Speaker. I want to say, number two, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy this bill has ensured that the county governments has a role to play. And Senate being protectors of devolution, Mr. Speaker, we now have a role in the affordable housing program, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the third point I wanted to make is on the issue of the wording of the bill. I agree that it should be called Rural and Urban Affordable Housing Program so that people in Chepalungu and Kable, Lartet, and even Taptengele and other areas of this republic, Mr. Speaker, should have opportunity, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of affordable housing program is important for this country. I don't see the need why we should fight over it, Mr. Speaker. Today, as we talk, Mutembei affordable housing program is ongoing, yet it is an ODM zone, Mr. Speaker. Kisumu, the affordable housing program is ongoing, yet the governor and the other members are from ODM, Mr. Speaker. Even here is in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. What I want to urge my colleagues, I have seen most of my colleagues from the minority side making the loudest noise in matangas and funerals and baby showers and bridal showers, telling Kenyans that they have numbers. Kumbe, they have numbers or phone numbers, and they, Mr. Speaker, I agree that all these issues that the courts have raised, we have captured, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, on the aspect of affordable housing, it was there. Even you had the opponent of President William Ruto in the last election agreeing that this issue of affordable housing was part of the cornerstone, Mr. Speaker. I think the issue is about interest. It is not even about the lawmaking process of this, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the stakeholders were satisfied. I remember, and you know, Parliament has been defined to be one under Article 93, Mr. Speaker. When the National Assembly Housing Committee moved around the country, the committee that was being read, Mr. Speaker, and they did adequate public participation, Mr. Speaker, even to Turkana, Mr. Speaker, even to Kisumu, to all parts of this country, Mr. Speaker. I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, more than 4 to 6 million Kenyans do not have a dignified housing in this country,
Senator
Mr. Speaker.
Osotsi. Senator Osotsi, Senator Cherargei, proceed to resume your seat.
Yes.
What's your point of order? Osotsi.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on standing order number 105. My good friend Senator Cherargei has stated that the stakeholders who appeared before the committee were satisfied. Mr. Speaker, that is contrary to the report by the committee that shows that nearly all the stakeholders who appeared before the committee had a problem with this bill. But the committee, in its own wisdom, they went ahead and rejected what the stakeholders say. The report is there, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cherargei.
I always do. Yes, if the chair can inform me kindly.
Senator Tangwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Transportation and Housing Committee. And I want to state here, Mr. Speaker, we received 29 memoranda from the people, from Kenyans, and majority of them were supporting this bill, Mr. Speaker. And majority of them gave some very important recommendations, which we have put into consideration. We have 40 amendments coming, Mr. Speaker. 40 amendments that are coming to this bill to make sure it is devolution compliant, money is going to the counties, and houses are built in the rural areas. What else do you want? What else do you want when we build houses to Vihiga?
Senator,
You don't want, you still want people to stay in mud houses.
Senator,
but we want
Senator
to create
Thangwa.
and build some nice houses.
Senator Thangwa.
I'm informing.
Thangwa.
It is point of information.
Order, members.
Mr. Speaker, majority of people
Senator
in his
Thangwa,
county,
resume your seat, Senator Thangwa. Resume
mud
your seat.
houses
Order,
will be
members. Order, Senator
a thing of the
Thangwa.
past.
Order, Senator Thangwa. Resume your seat. Senator Cherargei, proceed to conclude.
Yeah, I'm concluding, Speaker. Speaker, you know I do my research very well, and I have the report of the committee. It is the same Senator Otsotsi who misled this House that these reports were unsigned. I have seen signatures that have been signed, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, you must vet some of these point of orders, Mr. Speaker. I can table, I have it in my phone, the report, because it is digital, Mr. Speaker. Number two, Mr. Speaker, although Senator Karungo Thangwa has informed me, Mr. Speaker, you know we are not in ODM rally. You know you are used to heckling. Can you please allow me to submit? Mr. Speaker, I want to table evidence that this report has been signed. And one of the members who sits in Rhodes is Senator Sifuna, Mr. Speaker. You cannot, Nairobians need houses more than anybody else, Mr. Speaker. It is embarrassing that Senator Sifuna is opposing building of houses, Mr. Speaker, yet, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, your time is up. Resume your seat. Senator Agnes Kavindu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I strongly oppose this bill. And the reason why I oppose this bill is because my people at Mavoko's homes were demolished so that affordable houses can be built. And I don't see why a house should be demolished for affordable house to be built. These people suffered so much to go and work and earn money to come and build their homes. Just their homes to be demolished. And Mr. Speaker, one of the people hanged himself. He literally killed himself when he saw his house going down. And very soon I'm bringing a statement here so that I can be told who will be responsible